This is Jake Pazicki with an ACT Science conflicting viewpoints question. Now this question is asking us about the viewpoints of both scientists presented here in the passage. And I want to put an emphasis on the both here. It's asking about which of one of the following generalizations, A, B, C, D, is consistent with the viewpoints of both scientists. And so when you see something like the word both, that should be a red flag to go off to make sure that whatever answer you pick is consistent with both viewpoints. And you can pretty much assume that some of these answers are going to be true of one scientist's perspective, but not the other. Some might be inconsistent with both, and there's probably going to be one final answer that is consistent with both viewpoints truly, and that's the right answer. So what I usually do with these questions is I go through each answer choice one by one. The first one, mountains are formed by waves in the Earth's crust. So we see that right here. It's actually it's explicit in scientist one's viewpoint. He or she believes that mountains are formed as a result in the waves near its crust, so that could be okay. Let's give a little check mark for one scientist. But if we look in scientist two's perspective, we see that the scientist who is talking about plate tectonics. The Earth's plates collide, forcing one plate under the other plate. This pushes the top plate up, forming mountains. So we see that this actually, scientist 2 believes that it's the result of plate tectonics, or one plate of the Earth's crust pushing under the other, that causes mountains, not waves in the Earth's crust. So we can give that a big old X and a big cross out, so that's the wrong answer. So answer choice B, ocean basins are formed by the collision of oceanic plates. Same thing, we should look into the passage, see that scientist 1 believes that ocean basins were formed by an uneven cooling of the asthenosphere. So we can get, it's probably not the right answer since scientist 1 doesn't agree with it. And we can see that scientist 2 does, when they talk about ocean basins, they're talking about one plate going under the other. And so that would be scientist 2 agrees with that, but since not both scientists don't agree, wrong answer. Answer choice C, the Earth's crust sits on top of a liquid asthenosphere. And if we look in scientist 1 perspective, we see that it talks about the asthenosphere, and it talks about how the asthenosphere, the heating and cooling of the asthenosphere is what causes wave formation, and it causes mountains, and the cooling and the uneven cooling of the asthenosphere causes ocean basins. So, all right, we're talking about a liquid asthenosphere. That could be correct because we see it talks about it in scientist 1. If you look at scientist 2's perspective, you can see these plates float on a layer of liquid rock called the asthenosphere. So there it is again. It's talking about the asthenosphere, a layer of liquid rock that the crust floats on top of. So that could be our right answer because it's consistent with both of their perspectives. The last one, the collision of continental plates force mountain growth even today. And we can see that it does talk about that, how even the Himalayas are growing taller every year in scientist 2's perspective with continental plates. But it doesn't say anything about that in scientist 1's perspective. It doesn't talk about plates at all, actually. So we're going to go with an X for scientist 1, yes for scientist 2, but that's the wrong answer. So the only right answer choice where both scientists agree is answer choice C.